Welcome back to the show. It is Coast to Coast Sports. It is the week 3 edition, post week 3 of the NFL Power Rankings. 9 tiers this week, but really there's only 6 tiers. There's 3 teams that I just had to give themselves their own tier because I just didn't know how else to fit them in. One of those is right here. The
Wow.
Titans they're alone at the bottom. Out of all the 0 and 3 teams, this team is the one that really just I don't have any faith in this team whatsoever. I would fire Brian Callahan. I know it's only one season, but he hasn't proven anything to me yet. But give him the whole season before you make a judgment. And Will Levis, he looks like he's going to be replaced. This is a team that's probably drafting Carson Beck next year, or Shador Sanders, whoever is the number one quarterback, probably going to be a Tennessee Titan.
Yeah, Will Levis, not the guy you want right now as the quarterback. He's just trying to do too much offensively and defensively, not much to offer either. The Titans played the Jets close, I believe, last week, a couple weeks ago, that is. But yeah, I do agree with you. I don't think they're quote unquote awful though, Levi, but I do agree they're 32.
The telling thing to me was they played Malik Willis, who they traded away for a seventh round pick, and they got embarrassed by Malik Willis. All right.
Yeah.
Tier 8, these teams stink. I copied a couple of your tier names, Drew, because I thought, you had these teams stink, and I agree. These teams do stink. Panthers, they won, but it was against the Raiders. I don't really believe in them. The Patriots, again, they are not good. The Dolphins, they drop down 2 tiers for me. I have them at number 29 right now, dude, and we'll see if Tua can come back and get healthy. But I mean, that's back to back games that they've just been terrible. And the Giants, I mean, again, they won a game, but I don't really have all that much faith in the Giants.
Yeah, all four of these teams, it pains me to see the Dolphins there because I do think that, I think I had the Dolphins somewhere in the playoff picture, if not going to like the AFC Championship or something absurd before the season started. But yeah, I mean, this is what happens when a quarterback goes down. Obviously, that's going to be a huge hill to climb for an NFL team. And then it also is the fact that the Dolphins offense, I know there's no Tua, but a year ago they put 70 on the Broncos and now they put 3 on the Seahawks.
You would
It's
think that
crazy
they
how a year
still
can
have
change.
great receivers. I don't know
Yeah,
how
no, the
they
weapons,
fell off.
everything's the same.
Yeah,
Everything's the same but the quarterback. And even with Tua, they played really bad against the Bills. I don't know what's happening there. I don't know if Dalton is quote unquote legit or not, but Bryce Young's job, yikes. That's an interesting storyline. Young is the type of guy, Levi, I could see kind of them trading to who knows where for a third, fourth round pick and then making that kind of second bounce redemption. You've seen that a lot. Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield. Now you got Sam Darnold in the Vikings, all guys that initially failed and then kind of had this renaissance era. I could see that with Bryce Young because I don't think he's going to be a Panther for that much longer, but I think
yeah.
he's still a solid QB. I do.
I think, and I disagree. I think Bryce Young is going to be a lot closer to how we look at Josh Rosen, a guy who was wildly
Okay.
overdrafted, overhyped, and he failed too drastically to get another chance.
That's true, but you have to admit there's been a lot more QBs with that kind of double bump
There
than
has,
usual. Yeah.
but those QBs, the difference is when Darnold got replaced by Zach Wilson, the Jets were still just as bad. And when Geno got replaced by Ryan Fitzpatrick, the Jets, the offense was still just as bad. I know Ryan Fitzpatrick made the playoffs as a wild card, but that wasn't because he was good. It was because of the defense. And
We've
so
seen one day. We've seen one game of
we've seen
Dalton,
one
and he had a
game,
good
but
game.
the difference between Young and Dalton was so drastic that I actually think Bryce Young might just suck. But let's move
Okay.
on. Tier 7, again, I kept your name, trap game. These teams could beat you in a trap game. They're still not any good. Raiders, Jaguars, dude, I don't know what to think about the Jaguars. 0 and 3. They've lost 8 of their last 9 football games that they have played in. The Broncos again, they could win a trap game, and the Cardinals, they caught the Rams on a trap game. The Cardinals might be better than this,
They are.
but
That was my one gripe with
I
these
haven't
four.
seen it enough yet. Let's hear it though.
Well, I mean, I don't know what you mean by haven't seen it. They beat the
Beat
Rams
the Rams,
and
yeah. But I
they
think that was
took the
more of a trap
Bills. They were a drive away from beating the Bills, who are
game.
is arguably the best team in the NFL this year. I
True.
mean, that we'll see where you put the Bills, but the Bills are a damn good football team, and the Cardinals went toe for toe with them. I think this is more the Cardinals suffering from a trap game than the Cardinals being the team
Yeah.
who can get other teams trap games. I like the Cardinals. I think Kyler's a borderline top 10 quarterback. Maserati Mav has still yet to get going. So this offense, in my mind, can only go up. You got Dortch, you got, McBride's a good piece. Defensively, they're not great, but they're serviceable. And then, yeah, I mean, I think the Cardinals, I think the whole NFC West is going to really beat up on each other this year. People are going to look at the West, and there's going to be a team or two who has 7, 8 wins, and the winner might have 10 wins in the West, but I think all four of these teams are really, really good. So
Yeah.
interesting to see where you're going to have the Seahawks here. As far as the other three teams, I agree. Jacksonville's what is happening? Bo Nix looking kind of good, and the Raiders kind of fall off after a good week one, bad couple of last weeks.
Yeah. I mean, the way I see it, three of these four teams have already tripped somebody up. The Raiders, Broncos, Cardinals, Jaguars. Eventually, they will trip somebody up. Someone's going to
So
forget to game plan for the Jags, and it might be the
yeah.
Colts or the Bears or somebody. They're going to beat somebody, but they're not that
So
good.
Levi, you were a big T Law guy. Where's your
Oh man,
alliance
I don't know,
allegiance with
dude.
him now?
I think Trevor Lawrence. I don't think he's a good quarterback. I mean, we've seen him play
Just shocking because he was a shoe in out of
half of
Clemson.
2022 he was good, and for half of 2023 he was good, but for the other 2.5 seasons of his career he's been bad. So he's been only a good quarterback for about what, two fifths of his career he's been good, 3/5 he's been bad. We'll see. I mean, he's still young, he can still get better, but I think this could start to go really poor for him if things don't turn around soon.
Yeah, and he's a 63 point or an 84.9 passer rating in
Yeah,
his career. Not good.
not good. All right, this is one of the teams that are on their own, dude. I
Okay.
have no idea. Are they good or not? Like, they
Which
haven't
is
played
funny.
anyone, but they did move up for me. To be fair, and if they keep winning, they're gonna keep moving up. I mean, that's all I can say. Uh, Again,
I
part of
mean,
this
Levi, this
is
is shocking.
I'm holding on to a lot of my preseason conceptions, I think, and it's still early in the season. We'll see. They haven't played anyone. I mean, they really haven't. That might not be a bad thing at all. They might beat the Lions, and if they do, they're probably going to skyrocket the next time that. I mean, I'll do these again in 2 weeks. They might have, if they are 5-0 in 2 weeks, they'll be a lot higher. But I have to see them play a real football team, and I'm not sure if they've done that yet.
Levi, I'm not super high on this team, but my goodness, are you low? 3-0? How many teams can say they're 3-0? Levi, winning in the NFL is hard no matter who you play. You've seen that multiple times, and the Seahawks have three of those wins.
The Panthers started 3-0 in 2021 and wound up going 5-12. The Panthers had a super easy schedule. They won their first three. I'm not saying I think the Seahawks are 5-12. I've amended my preseason prediction. I think the Seahawks are a 7 or 8 win team right now, but I still don't see them as good as some of the teams I
Wow.
have ahead of them. But
I
we'll
agree. I
see.
mean,
We'll see.
3-0. It's shocking. It is. Picture this, Levi. I'm scrolling, I'm bored out of my mind in X, Y, and Z class.
Yeah.
And I'm obviously looking at ESPN, Yahoo Sports, etc. power rankings.
Yeah.
It was more common than not. I think almost all of them had Seahawks top 10.
Top 10. Yeah. No.
Some of them
Colin
had them as
Coward
high
has us
as
at 5.
6. Yeah. Yeah. So 23, I think you might be closer than those guys are. I think they're somewhere around 15 range, but 23.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't
Very,
know.
very
I don't know if
interesting.
they're good or not, but they might be. But I didn't think they. I probably could have flipped this tier with the tier ahead of them. But again, this is where some of my preseason conceptions come in. Tier 5 is, come on, really? Like these teams, man. I want to find something to believe in that they can make the playoffs. But again, these teams all kind of disappointed me. Like the Bears, come on. Like what are we
The
doing, Bears?
Bears are not better than the Seahawks.
Like, well, we'll see about that in the future. If Caleb keeps getting better, they will be eventually. But last week was
Yeah,
a
like
come
in
on,
four
really game.
years.
What? well, he had a much better game in week 3 than he did the first 2 weeks.
You see
But
that offensive line? It's
yeah, pretty
ridiculous. He's
bad.
running for his
But
life.
I mean, Anthony Richardson had one of the worst games of his career, and the Bears lost. So come on, the Browns are like, okay, this is honestly this tier. I could have also the other name I considered for this tier was good teams, bad quarterbacks. Dude, the Browns. I think the Browns are a good team, and I think when they get Nick Chubb back, they're gonna be very talented. But Deshaun Watson is holding them back. Like he doesn't seem committed. He seems like he is just going through the motions. Like I watched some of that Giants game. Deshaun looks like he has the same urgency when with a 7-0 lead that he does when he's down 21-7. Like when you're down 21-7, I gotta see you play with urgency. And I don't Deshaun looks like he couldn't give a shit whether they win or lose. Um the Colts, again, Richardson, I mean, yeah, they did win. They beat the Bears, called it, but still, I'm not sold on the Colts anymore. I was so high on them after week 1, but I don't know. The Saints and Bucks. Come on, guys. Really, like I was so hoping that the NFC South was going to be a competitive product this year, and then I watched two of the worst stinkers of a game. The Saints and Bucks looked so bad in week 3 that I no longer think that either of them are actually any good.
Yeah, I hate to agree with you because the Saints were a team I had somewhere borderline top 10, if not in my top 10 last week. And the high flying Derek Carr offense finally kind of runs its course.
Yeah.
The most interesting part of these 5 teams to me is Anthony Richardson. What is happening? I mean, that guy, one of the most pure talented quarterbacks in the NFL, can throw a ball 60 yards off his knees. But when it comes to the X's and O's, seems to be a little bit faulty in that regard. And that's been hurting the Colts early on. Going over to the Browns, I agree. I think the Browns have a top 10 roster in the NFL. Deshaun Watson could not care less. And it's crazy because, Levi, you go back 3 years, and Deshaun Watson was a consensus top 10
Oh yeah.
quarterback.
Before the holdout and before the
Consensus.
allegations, consensus.
So obviously, like, there's a fall off, but he didn't get injured.
I
He was
think
out of the game for a little bit for something. I
my
mean,
theory with him is that Deshaun, at this point, he knows that whatever he
he's
does,
not getting another contract.
A, he's not getting a contract, and B, he knows that whatever he does, nobody's going to like him because of the allegations. So I think his entire mentality is, I'm going to play through this contract. I'm going to make my money. I'm not going to get hurt. I think he is really playing safe, which again, it's like what Antonio Pierce said about making a business decision and, guys that are kind of playing it safe to stay healthy. I totally understand the appeal in doing that, but when you're making $200 million, I have to see a little bit more from you.
I have to see a lot more. Deshaun
Yeah.
Watson has not been cutting it. I don't know who the backup is, but at some point you got to think maybe it's
Well,
time
it's
to call in
Jameis
the
Winston,
backup. Yeah, I
and
would
he
have
can sling
Winston
it.
in there. I
Jameis
would rather
can
have
sling it.
Winston in there.
I think I would too, which is crazy.
Speaking of Winston, go down to the Saints. I agree Derek Carr isn't great, but 15-12, that's a close game against the Eagles. In a game that Derek Carr and the offense looked really bad, but we've seen the offense be good.
Yeah.
So that's the one team I do think they deserve higher than 19. I do.
Okay. We'll see how they play against the Falcons. If they beat the Falcons, I'll probably lift them up. Because right now, despite the Falcons being a game back, I still think the Falcons are the better team in that division, and we'll get to them. I think they're in the next tier. This tier, who even knows, man? This is part of the. I mean, this NFL is very confusing, and these teams, it's kind of all over the place here. The Niners, I have at 17,
Wow. Wow. That
and
is barbaric.
I understand there's a lot of injuries, but
That's
they
awful.
they lost to the Vikings, who I'm not sure if the Vikings are actually all that good. And then, although I'm getting higher on the Vikings,
The
um,
Vikings are good.
and then they blew it against the Rams. I'm not so sure the Niners are actually that good. The Commanders at number 16. Welcome to the top half of the league. Washington 2-1. Jaden Daniels looks like rookie of the year. And I'm not ready to go there yet, but in a couple weeks, I might be starting to push the Commanders winning the NFC East train. That might be a thing pretty soon here. Dallas, I don't know if the Cowboys are better than Washington. they're also 1-2. They looked awful back to back weeks. Dak Prescott has been okay, but the defense, ever since they lost Dan Quinn, I know it's only 3 games, they're not turning the ball over when that was their bread and butter. That was the whole reason why that defense was so good. They just got turnovers, and now they can't get turnovers. And they let Lamar Jackson and Derek Carr just dice them up. Lamar, I understand. Derek Carr, I don't. The Vikings at 15 now. They're
That's about
what?
right. That's about right.
14, yeah, 15, 3-0. They're moving up the rankings. And again, a lot of NFC teams, not all four of these teams can make the playoffs. And I actually think that the Niners are going to miss the playoffs. I think Washington, Dallas, and Minnesota have a better shot at a wild card than the 49ers do right now. And that's crazy. And then last but not least, the only AFC team in here at number 13, the Steelers just keep winning. They've won 7 regular season games in a row, dating back to
Wow.
last year, when they had, and it's been with Mason Rudolph and Justin Fields, and that defense is just they're dominant.
Wow. Well, Levi, I just had to listen to you talk about 4 teams I didn't really care about after seeing the 49ers at 17. Are you kidding me? 17? This team made the Super Bowl last year and they've lost to the Rams and the Vikings. Those are good football
Their
teams.
defense this year
Undisputed.
looks way worse.
Levi, the Rams and the Vikings are good football teams and they're injured and they have Kyle Shanahan as a coach. I'm not concerned at all. I would put the
Really?
Niners top 5. I would.
Wow. Wow.
17? Come on.
So my thing
If
with the
that is such an
Niners,
you're Levi for being about not you like to not overreact for the most part,
yeah.
except for the home team, Seahawks, Mariners, totally different story. But when it's other people's teams, you like to kind of lay low, see the bigger picture. I respect that about you.
Well, I haven't
What the
overreacted
hell
about
is
the Seahawks.
this?
This
I
is
don't know.
well, okay, to be fair, here's where I had the Niners. Preseason, I had them at 5. After week 1, kept them at 5. Week 2, I moved them down to 11 and now down to 17. So they've been going down, but I never thought they were going to be a top contender this year. I never really
Come
thought
on,
that.
man. 49ers play the Commanders. The 49ers are favored by over a touchdown
I don't know
tomorrow.
if they beat the Commanders. I think Jaden Daniels is better than Brock Purdy.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that
I
crazy?
agree. No, it's not crazy.
Brock,
But
I mean, Brock
there's
Purdy
more than
is
one
he
player on a football
is
team.
Brock Purdy better than Kyler or Matt Stafford? No. Is he better than Geno? I'm not sure. I think Geno's played better than Brock Purdy. They might have the worst quarterback in the division. I think
They
their
have the best
defense,
roster. They have the best coaching staff.
I don't know about that.
I do.
If
I think
CMC
so.
is out for an extended time and he went to Germany today to
Week
see a
six.
specialist,
Week 6 is what the reports are.
is that what they're saying? Well, why is he flying to Germany to see a specialist?
I don't know.
I
I
think
don't
he's
know.
out for a lot longer. And Brandon Ayuk hasn't done much.
They'll get it going. I'm
We'll
not
see.
concerned about the 49ers. You're
We'll see.
overreacting to these.
Maybe
You're
I am.
overreacting.
Maybe I am. We'll see. I don't know. I think this is a down year for
Really,
them.
really quickly before we move on, Vikings and Steelers are the 2 teams that catch my eyes. Cowboys or whatever. I think they're bad this year. I do. The Vikings, I think they could be a little bit higher, but for the most part, I think people are kind of overreacting to the Vikings. But Sam Darnold, good for him. Got to give him his flowers. And then you go over to the Steelers. I think it's officially Justin Fields' team until he plays bad, and then you can give it to Russ. But
Yeah.
look, Russ gave up his opportunity. He got hurt, and Justin Fields went 3-0. So despite Fields not looking great in week 1 and 2, he now is kind of comfortable. Week 3 looked super good. And hey, how about them Steelers? 3 and
Yeah.
0. Kind of crazy, but this is a team that all of a sudden in the playoff picture.
I mean, it's the same thing I said about the Seahawks. Keep winning, and I'll keep moving you up slowly
Well,
but
the
surely.
difference between the Seahawks and the Steelers is you have the Steelers at 13 and the Seahawks at 22.
Well, that's because the Steelers won 3 games that they probably should have won, and the Seahawks, or no,
Won
excuse me,
2 games they
no, the
should have won.
Steelers won 3 games. 2 of them they probably shouldn't have won. I mean, to be fair, if Herbert stays healthy, they may have lost that game. But I still think the Chargers are better than the Steelers, and the Steelers beat them. So that was a good win. I don't think the Seahawks have beat any teams that are good yet. The Vikings and the Steelers have. So that's why I respect their 3-0 a little bit more than
Okay.
the Seahawks 3-0. But again, keep winning. I'll keep respecting you more. Tier 3, let's be patient. I don't know if I think this might be my biggest miss. And this might be my detrimental, or this might be my worst take of the episode. I still have the Bengals at 12. I know they're 0-3. I know they're 0-3. But they
I
looked
don't hate it.
good. Joe Burrow looked really good. I mean, Burrow and Jaden Daniels put on an absolute clinic. They were both just throwing the ball all over the place. And unfortunately for Burrow, his defense couldn't get a stop when it mattered. But they've had a, I mean, look, the Chiefs, they were very close. And the Commanders, they were very close. And the Patriots, a trap game, but they were close against the Patriots too. I think they're going to get healthier. I think Jamar T. Higgins are starting to play together again now. Higgins missed a couple games. Now they're back. I still like Cincinnati, and I still think they can make a run because no one's. I mean, yeah, the Steelers are up by 3 games on them, but the Steelers' schedule is going to get tougher. The Bengals' schedule is going to get easier. I still think they can be competitive in that division, man.
Yeah, the Bengals point differential is 10 points through three
If they
games.
lose again
So,
next week, though, if they play Carolina next week, if they
yes,
lose
I
next week,
agree. You lose to
they're
Carolina, you
they're
sound the
like a
alarm.
bottom 10 team. I mean,
Yeah,
come
you sound the alarms.
on. Number 11, Atlanta. I actually moved the
Way
Falcons
too
up.
high.
I reevaluated that Sunday night game and I thought, you know what? They almost beat the Chiefs. And they beat the Eagles, who I think are good. And they played
Should
close
have
against the
lost to the
Steelers.
Eagles.
Could have lost to the Eagles, but
Should have lost to the Eagles.
should have. But I still waited and I said, look, they play the Saints next week. Do I think they're a better team than the Saints? And I said, yeah, I do think they're a better team than the Saints. And
Yeah.
I said, do I think the Saints can lose by 5 to the Chiefs? And I said, no, the Saints are going to lose by 20 to the Chiefs. The Falcons lost by 5 to the Chiefs. So that's kind of where I'm thinking it. Look, I think this team is going to win the division. I don't think they win a playoff game, but, Kirk's going to keep getting better. My one thing with the Falcons, and I talked about this yesterday, can we stop with the whole Bijan is a top 5 running back in the league thing? Like every other game, he disappears completely. Like you can't be, I'm sorry, you can't be a top 5 running back when in your biggest game against the Chiefs at home and Sunday Night Football, and your crowd is literally getting free hot dogs to all the fans. I mean, they took that was the biggest game for them of the season. They literally said there that's what their coach said. And Bijan disappeared. He couldn't run the ball at all, especially in the fourth quarter. So I think he's maybe a little bit too overrated right now. He's definitely talented. Don't get me wrong. I have the Ravens at number 10, back into the top 10. I definitely overreacted to them last week when I told you that I disagreed with your putting them in the top 10. They looked great against Dallas. I right now I think they're the better team over the Bengals. Rams at 9 again. Let's be patient here. Good win against the Niners. I think they're my favorites to win
Almost
the
0
West.
3.
Almost 0-3, but again, they almost beat the Lions. If they did, they'd be
But
2-1. And
Levi, how do you have the Rams? What is this? 10 spots higher than the Niners?
I think that
And
they just beat the Niners.
but 10 spots, did you watch any part of that game?
I
The
did. I
Niners
watched.
were up 21-7.
Yeah, and the Rams came back, and they have a better quarterback, better
Okay,
coach,
I think the Rams might be on par with the Niners, but if you're gonna have the Rams higher, it's gotta be Niners Rams.
better coach, better quarterback. That's
Levi,
all I'm gonna
they
say.
were so close that game. That game was neck and neck. It was not 10 teams different. You know that, and I know that.
Well, I think overall they're about to.
You
We'll
didn't
see.
watch the game then.
I
That's crazy.
well, I'll tell you what. I didn't watch the first half of the game. I watched the second half of the game. First half, I was watching the Ravens trounce the Cowboys, and then I switched it over to the
Okay.
Rams and
Um,
Niners. So
I
maybe
saw a
I missed the
3-point
first.
game.
Maybe I missed that first half, and that's why. But I don't know. I thought the parts of the game that I watched, the Rams looked much better, and I thought Stafford looked better, and I thought
They are
McVay's better
better. They're
coach.
very slightly.
Very slightly. They're
I
also
think
not healthy
they're.
either. Remember, they didn't have Cooper Cup. They didn't have Tyler Higbee.
Oh,
They didn't
that
have
rings a
Puka
bell.
Nacua.
I wonder who else isn't healthy.
The Niners.
Okay,
But the
so let's
difference
not
is
use that as an
the
excuse. Let's
Rams are
not use
gonna
that as an excuse.
the Rams will get healthier, I think, faster than the Niners. We'll see.
I think the Rams might be 3 points better than the Niners because they just won
They
by
just
three
win.
points. So
Last but not least, at number 8, the Packers. Let's be patient on
go
the
pack, go,
Packers.
go pack,
Just
go.
because I say them in the let's be patient because we haven't
Malik
seen
Willis,
Jordan Love
baby.
yet. But Malik Willis looks good. And I like him a lot. I think they're a playoff team.
Yeah, not much to say. My gripe is with the Rams being this high and the Niners being that low. I like the Ravens. I think they could have been a little higher even. I think the Ravens, I mean, look, they're one toe away from potentially winning a game against Kansas City. I think they haven't played their best football. I think Lamar might be the best quarterback in the NFL, to be completely honest, behind like Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Yeah, not much to say here. The Bengals, I agree. I hate to say it, but I agree. I think 12 is right. I think we
Yeah.
have to
Okay.
be patient.
Yeah.
0
I
and
mean, all
3,
the all
sound
of
the
these
alarms
teams
if they
have
lose to the
losing record
Panthers.
except for Green Bay.
Yeah. All right, let's go. Tier 2.
Yeah, and the last thing about Green Bay. So I think there are 8 teams that I think are locks for the playoffs right now. Green Bay is one of those 8, but I couldn't put them in the next tier because I still don't think they belong in the next tier yet. Tier 2, already planning for the Chiefs. I mean, that's what these teams are doing.
Where are the Jets at?
These teams, well, they're on this tier. These teams are already planning for the Chiefs. It's week 3, and that's what they're planning on. The Chargers at number 7, the Bills at number 6, the Jets at 5, the Texans at 4, the Eagles at 3, and the Lions at 2. 6 teams that I think could all make it to an AFC championship game, or in the case of the Lions and Eagles, the Super Bowl. 6 teams that you're really mad about the Jets, huh? 6 teams that I
At
think
5? The Bills are never continue.
all 6 of these teams, Drew, they all have their eyes set on winning, but all 6 of them have one thing in mind, which is we can't beat the Chiefs. And the Chargers
31
playing
teams have that in mind
the
too. But
Chargers,
yes.
the other 25 aren't going to have a chance. These 6 might have the chance, and I don't
Well,
think any of
someone's
them
gonna have
are
to
as
have the
good.
chance.
But and the Chargers play them next week, so we'll see how they match up. But yeah, I mean that's where I see. And let me explain the Jets over the Bills. With the
Yeah,
Bills,
please do, because
yeah,
I am
look,
waiting for
I mean
that.
the Bills have fooled me so many times. They always do this in September. They win big. They crush their opponents.
They're
They
doing
blow
it
out.
differently this year, though. They're running the football. That's the biggest thing in my mind.
Okay, well, we'll see. But they don't have the receivers anymore. They don't have Stephon Diggs. Now,
They clearly don't need
Khalil
Levi. They put
Shakir,
up 31
they,
plus points every
yeah,
game.
against who? The Cardinals have a bad defense. The Dolphins are
Serviceable.
completely out of it, and the Jaguars are the worst team in the league. I
The
mean,
Jaguars weren't, or the Dolphins wasn't out of it. It was a Thursday night football game.
let's see the Bills again. Let's see them play a really good team. I have a lot of respect. They play the Ravens this week. I think the Ravens are going to beat the Bills. I think the Ravens hand them their first loss.
No, I don't. I don't. I think the Bills are a better team. I think the Bills are the second best team in the NFL.
Okay.
Chiefs, Bills, and Lions a little high for me because the fact that, Seahawks, Lions, the spread is going to be somewhere between 5-3, 5-4 points, and the Chiefs are 20 spots higher. I don't know. I don't think their defense is that good. The Eagles, I'd be way more worried than what you have them at 3 right now. I think the Texans are better. I know the Bills are better. I think the Ravens are better. The Chargers, don't hate it, but the Jets at 5. They beat the Patriots. The
Aaron
Patriots.
Rodgers looks like he's back.
Well, I would hope against the Patriots the Jets would be back. I don't know
Great.
if you saw the Jets game, against the Titans. That was not, you have the Titans at 32.
But well, they beat the Titans.
Yeah, they beat the Titans like a mediocre team would beat the Titans. Not, I understand they looked good against the Patriots. They did.
Great
I
against
think
the
the Jets are borderline top 10, but 5, the Jets play the Bills. I don't see a way the Bills lose that game. I don't. I
I
think the
see the
Bills are
way.
better
The way
offensively. I
is
think they're
the
better
way that they
defensively. I think they're better coached.
the way is the same way they beat the Bills last year. You make Josh Allen turn the ball over. You
But
intercept Josh
Levi,
Allen.
it's 2024 Josh Allen. He doesn't turn the ball
Yeah,
over.
it's been 3 weeks. So
He
let's
doesn't
get
turn
that.
the ball over. You know why? Because he runs the football now. Cook might be the best running back in the NFL.
Yeah,
They
that's.
completely switched ideologies.
I'll tell you who actually has better running backs is all 4 of the teams ahead of the Bills. Brees Hall, Joe Mixon, Saquon Barkley, David Montgomery, Jameer Gibbs. I'm taking all 5 of them over James Cook.
Yeah, I probably am too, but I think Cook is more than good enough to lead that Bills team if they want to go the running route direction. to an AFC championship against the Chiefs.
Yeah. The bottom line is no matter how you rank these six teams, we both agree they're all pretty good. And we
Can
both
you
agree
agree the Bills are they've looked like the best team in the NFL this year? Just from paper,
against
3 games.
against tomato
No,
cans.
okay, fine. I want you to say that they've looked
I'm
like the
gonna say
best
they
team.
they look like the second best team in the league this year. But I
Behind
have them at
who?
six because I don't trust them yet. The Chiefs have
The
looked better
Chiefs. No, no, no.
because the Chiefs
Wow.
beat three difficult opponents and the Bills have beaten three
Levi,
easy
the Chiefs without their 12th man, which is not Arrowhead, it's the refs,
refs.
would be 1-2. So
Uh,
that's all I gotta say. Their 12th man's really helping them out.
yeah,
And
and
not in the legal way. Let's put it that way. The Chiefs are either paying the refs a lot of money or Collinsworth is paying the refs a lot of money because he likes Patrick Mahomes that much. I
there's
don't know.
another one, Patrick Mahomes. All right, well, of course, you know who's on the top tier, and fittingly, do we even need to play the games? Like seriously, do we even need to play these games? We know who's gonna win. I have absolute faith that the Chiefs are going to win every single game they play. They'll probably lose a couple trap games, but every game they play, I would bet on them to win. In the playoffs, I know for a fact they will win every single game because the NFL wants them to win. And I'm not saying that the games are rigged, but there's a clear incentive that if there's a crucial call, they're going to give. I'm not saying that that's the reason. The Chiefs are also I think they are the best team in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback. Rashi Rice looks like a legitimate number one. And I think Xavier Worthy can be a legitimate number two. I mean, they beat the Falcons pretty easily. And I think what the Chiefs have that everybody else doesn't have is they have a fear factor. It's like the Patriots. Every single team, besides maybe the Chargers because they play them twice a year, and maybe the Bills because they've beaten them a few times, but never in the playoffs. Every other team is scared out of their damn minds to play the Chiefs. And you saw it with the Falcons. If the Falcons just kick a field goal with 4 minutes left, and then they could get the stop like they did, they got the stop, they get the ball back, kick another field goal, they win the game by 1 point. But instead, they went for it on fourth down because they were so afraid that the Chiefs were going to beat them, which I would be too because it's Mahomes, and they blew it. They blew it. They could have kicked 2 field goals, won the game, but instead they blew it. But again, do we even need to play the games? Because even if the Chiefs are about to lose, they're going to get that crucial call. They're going to, and I'm not saying, look, the Bengals, yeah, it was pass interference, but 9 times out of 10, the refs are going to say, it's the last play of the game, Hail Mary, there's going to be contact. We're going to let it play out. 9 times out of 10, they're not going to call that. Who do they call it for? The Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah. And you can say, well, the Chiefs aren't going to get calls like that all season,
They
but they
will.
are.
It's the Taylor Swift
So
effect. It's the Travis
at this point,
Kelsey.
it's like you actually do have to account for the refs in some regard.
You know they're the most hated team in the league now. They've surpassed the Cowboys.
Yeah, don't doubt it. I still love Patrick Mahomes though. I do.
I love Mahomes. I think it's between people. A lot of people hate Kelsey, and a lot of people hate their
The
kicker
refs, the ref, and the refs, the
and the
refs.
refs. Between the
The
refs,
refs, I think, are
their
playing a huge
kicker
fault
and
because,
Kelsey, it's nobody likes the Chiefs. But no, I
well,
love
Levi, it's very
Mahomes.
fitting that you're the only team picture with a quarterback in the picture is
Yeah,
the Chiefs,
the
and you
Chiefs.
got Patrick Mahomes looming in the background because, of course, because what are the Chiefs without Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes?
Nothing.
Mediocre.
Yeah, they're fine.
Yeah,
I'd like to
I don't
see
know,
Carson
crazy.
Wentz.
Yeah, but the Chiefs are one. Chiefs are one.
They're one, and I hate to say it because I picked the Texans to beat them in the playoffs, but after last week, I really want eventually to be able to believe that the Texans or the Bills. I want to believe that either the Bills or Texans can beat them in the playoffs, or even the Jets. I want to believe that the Jets could beat them in the playoffs. But from what I've seen so far, I love all three of those teams. I love Houston. I love the Jets. I love the Bills. I haven't seen it yet that they can beat the Chiefs
I could see
in
the
the playoffs.
Bills, the only team, and that's why I had the Bills at two.
I mean, I've seen them lose to the Chiefs 4 times in the playoffs, so I don't.
Well, eventually,
I
yeah,
don't know.
clock's right
Eventually, it
twice a
has to
day.
happen, right? That's what they always. Eventually, the Bills have to win the Super Bowl. That's what they said in the '90s too. We'll see. It's a long season. Again, these
All
are
right.
early tiers. It's a lot of preseason
Yeah.
biases, but let
Yeah.
us know in the
All
comments
right.
what you think.
Yeah, thanks guys for watching because my Mariners just lost, so it's pretty depressing. Um, But yeah, this was another great tier list, Levi. I think this was actually better than your first tier list, which is surprising because
Yeah.
this was still pretty bad.
They'll get better as it goes on, as the biases start to work their way out of the system.
All right, sounds good. All right, well, I think that's it, right?
Yep.
All right, see you guys. This is Coast to Coast Sports. Go check out the NW Sports Cast for more content Seattle sports related. Levi Cooper, Drew Rabba saying so long, and as always, Levi.
Go Seahawks.